What's up, everyone? About 56% of stocks in the S&P 500 closed up in the green today. And as you probably already know, the market broke brand new all-time highs yet again today. But it is certainly not all sunshine and rainbows. There is a pretty important signal right now flashing in a pretty big way that you have to pay attention to going into these next couple of trading days. And we also have a lot of big news related to crypto, weed stocks, and big earnings coming up throughout these next couple days. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to know because volatility is not only heating up, but we're set for a pretty crazy next couple weeks and next couple months for multiple different reasons. So, Tom, let's jump right into today's episode.
Yeah, the SPY was actually pretty awesome this morning, and we started to see a good move and breakout to the upside. Like you said, the SPY made a brand new all-time high today, but it was kind of short-lived. It almost hit 565. It got very close there towards the midpoint of the morning, and you can see where the market started to really turn over and move lower again. And whenever you say, well, why did it end up falling down towards the middle to the end of the day? Mainly because of some of these tech stocks that turned over, like Amazon, Nvidia, Meta, even Microsoft was like barely up in the green, right? And we saw a lot of negativity as the day went on with multiple stocks, even stocks that were good throughout the day, like Tesla that closed up 1.78%, right? If we look at the heat map, that looks awesome. But look at Tesla from open. It opened, moved up a little bit, and then fell all the way back down to support. So we actually saw like a lot of flatness from open today, and I think that it ended up being a pretty choppy day for many traders out there. So it was a pretty wild one, Mike, but I know yesterday we talked a lot about DJT, which is a pretty wild stock. It actually ran up 31% today. In pre-market, it was up like 75% at highs. I couldn't believe it, but I'll be honest, the opportunity was kind of gone when the market opened there.
Exactly. So for those of you who don't know, DJT is Donald Trump's Truth Social stock. And like Tom said, it had a pretty good day on a close over close basis, but that price action from open was just nasty. And basically, it's as simple as everyone knew that a bunch of eyes were going to be on this stock today. So the smart money bid up the stock in pre-market at like 4 in the morning. And by the time everyone else showed up ready to buy, the show was already over. So that was the story with DJT. This stock is extremely volatile, and when it does move with true momentum, it definitely has that parabolic potential. But in order to play a stock like this one, again, it has to have some strong momentum to it. And at this point in time, it doesn't have as much momentum as it should. But of course, that can always change in after hours, pre-market, and any other point as the stock's price action develops. But either way, keep a close eye on this one going forward, as it does have some, big reasons to be moving given the recent events. But another area of the market that's especially moving right now is the crypto side of things. Not only just Bitcoin, but also cryptocurrency-related stocks like Coinbase, Mara, and many, many others. And there are multiple reasons for this. I would say the main one is that considering Trump is definitely gaining some momentum right now, he's been very positive about the crypto industry as a whole, and as you can guess, investors out there certainly like to price that into, you could say, crypto stocks, but also cryptocurrencies as a whole. So basically, this recent Trump situation has helped the crypto industry in a pretty good way.
Yeah, it really has. And looking at Mara and especially Coinbase, MicroStrategy, we saw some great moves, like well over 10% today, and they closed up pretty high as well. It's not like they ran up like Tesla today, right, where it ran up, but on a open to close basis, it ended up being kind of bad, where these stocks actually held up pretty high, had really decent closes. So I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on Bitcoin and these stocks in general. And going to Bitcoin on the daily chart, we talked yesterday about it passing up 60K. Now it's all the way up to 64,000 almost today. So who knows? We're having some pretty parabolic moves off this support, and it's roaring back to life. If it comes up and retests like 69 to 70,000 again soon, we'll see a lot of great bullish price action coming out of those crypto stocks. So keep them on the radar for the next few days and few weeks. Looks like there's going to be a lot of crypto related movement here coming up with all the Trump news going on.
Big time. And then, Tom, we also can't forget about the wheat stocks today, as these things started to blast basically out of nowhere. So a lot of people like to look at like CGC, some other ones like to look at TLRY and MSOS, but I would say out of them all, CGC is probably the best, as it has not only moved in the best way, but its options are also pretty liquid as well. But Tom, tell us more about this situation, because as we all know, wheat stocks are some of the craziest stocks in the entire market.
They are, and we've talked a lot today about Trump influencing multiple different parts of the market. Like we have DJT, obviously. We have the crypto stocks moving up. He's even spilling over into the marijuana stocks today. So Trump picked his vice president, which is J.D. Vance. He's a senator in Ohio, and Ohio actually has marijuana legalized. And, he said some things and done some things in the past about marijuana. I saw some recent statements where he was actually saying that, like, marijuana could be, like, polluting our public spaces. But at the same time, he's kind of saying that there needs to be a good balance here. Like, we don't want to throw people in prison for having like a dime bag or a little bit of marijuana or anything like that. And I've heard him reference also that he wants it to kind of be like a state issue. So at the end of the day, it looks like that marijuana is moving off this. I was searching all over the place for marijuana news, and a lot of people were attributing this move to that. So either way, Mike, that's kind of the news that we found today on the marijuana stocks. You guys can take it how you want. I thought it was kind of funny, though, how there was a lot of negativity with him, and he even voted against like a bill or the Safer Banking Act for marijuana as well. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and weed stocks, of all stocks in the market, kind of move in their own unique, crazy way, where sometimes you could have news, whether it be good or bad, from like the first viewpoint, and investors that trade stocks like CGC can have reactions that sometimes might seem unconventional. But regardless, as we look at CGC and these other weed-related stocks, when they're moving, they have that parabolic crazy potential to them. Again, they're risky, so if you play them, you have to be careful and cautious of how volatile they are. But at the same time, when these stocks do move with true momentum and news and buying pressure behind them, they get pretty crazy pretty quickly. And Tom, I think it's as simple, you beat me to it. Just look at some of the past price action some of these stocks have had over these like not even just past couple months, but like the past couple of years. They are crazy. So keep a close eye on CGC and the other ones going forward. But let's talk a little bit more about the market as a whole right now. We are at all-time highs, or very close to it, on SPY. This recent close surely wasn't all that great. There was a good amount of selling pressure that came in closer to market close, and in some ways, it definitely was concerning. So, Tom, looking at the market tomorrow, what do you have for levels in both directions?
Yeah, so today we actually saw a breakout of that good resistance we talked about yesterday around 563.50, and the SPY pushed up to a good all-time high, and I think there was actually some good scalping opportunity as it broke out there today. I'm sure a few people ended up hitting on that, but I'm going to use that as another good resistance for tomorrow. I really do like that 563.50 resistance. Also, intraday today, there was a lot of resistance right around 562.50, so I'm going to be watching that overhead as well. To the downside, I'm really looking at 560. That's pretty much to where we extended to right before the market closed. So I'm going to use that as a good support, along with 558 and then 556.80 to 557 just underneath there. So that's what I'm looking at for the market tomorrow. But that was a pretty bad close today. And a few of those tech stocks were fairly concerning around close. Like Nvidia was actually red.
No doubt. And another thing that everyone has to pay attention to right now is what's going on with VIX. So we talked about this yesterday and last week especially, where the VIX is getting to that time of the year where it likes to rise up quite a bit. So as we can see on the red line, that is VIX for this year. The gray lines are what VIX historically does during this time of the year, and VIX normally rises up quite a bit. For those of you who don't know, the higher VIX goes, the more crazy and volatile the market gets, and most of the time this is associated with a downside price action and like market panic type events. The main thing to keep in mind is that not only are we heading into that time of the year when the VIX does tend to shoot up, we're also heading into a crucial election. Of course, earnings season's already here, but on top of that, we're also seeing a little bit of a rotation happening in the market. As we saw on Thursday last week, we saw some of these big tech stocks like Nvidia, Tesla, Microsoft, and others have outflows that we haven't seen in a long time. And it's not that they're burning and crashing by any means, but they are certainly moving in a different way than what we saw earlier this year. It is very easy for people to look at, let's say, Microsoft or Nvidia or Apple or anything else and say, oh, look how great this year has been, but fail to realize how these types of stocks have changed the way in which they move. And what we've seen, especially over these past couple trading days, is a lot of money has been flowing into other areas of the market like small caps with IWM. So the Russell 2000 has been seeing one of its best moves in quite a while, as a lot of money that has been, you could say, either on the sidelines or just in other areas of the market are now just rushing into IWM. So this is like an interesting change, and this is why I want to point it out, because the market changes all the time, and if you're not aware of those changes, you have no idea how to adapt to them and position yourself accordingly. But talking more about, these changes in flows and how that ties to the VIX is that the market on a technical level was up today, and that's great. But at the same time, the VIX, or the volatility index, was also up 5.5%, which is pretty scary and pretty rare, because most of the time when the market is up, just like it was today, the VIX would at the very least be down, or I guess you could say flat is just, it's just like a normal day in the market. But when you have the market up and the VIX up by 5.5%, you certainly don't see that often. And when this essentially says in plain English is that market makers are expecting more volatility in the future than what they previously expected. And again, when VIX goes up, normally that's associated in like a bearish sense. So monitor the situation closely.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we have this historical data to look at the same time. And I know that on the VIX chart, whenever I go look at VIX, I've been watching VIX for a long time, right? I have a lot of lines on the chart from, years ago, right? Like we've been looking at VIX for a long time. This support is pretty massive down here, around like 12 to 1250. It's pretty rare to see a move like much lower than this on the VIX. So watching VIX, it's been really flat lately. I think a lot of people are kind of like, hey, when is the VIX finally going to start shooting up here, right? And I think it's mainly going to be attributed to when are people going to finally start taking profits on some of these bigger stocks. And we've been starting to see that change. Nvidia's chart, I think, is pretty telling right here. I know that everybody just wants it to go up, right? It's really easy when the market's going up, and I understand. But whenever you look at some of these tech stocks, you're like, wow, they're getting kind of overextended. And on a daily, like if Nvidia starts falling under like 127 here in the short term, we might start to see a lot more outflows, right? And if we start to see Nvidia pushing like 120 or less, the sell-off could start to accelerate, and etc., right? Lining up with the historical data here. So I think it's a very interesting time that we're in, Mike, and a lot of people just need to really keep that adaptive mindset in the short term.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Whether you're bearish or bullish on Nvidia or SPY or quite frankly anything else, just make sure you are willing to change your thought process if the situation changes, because there's money to be made in both directions, and that's a good thing. But those who fail to be open-minded and those who fail to adapt are the ones who get ran over. So that is that. But Tom, let's talk a little bit more about the earnings lineup for the week, because earnings season is back. Let's go.
Yeah, it really is. So tomorrow we have the banks reporting right before the market opens. We have Bank of America, UNH, Progressive, Morgan Stanley, Charles Schwab, PNC, State Street, all before the market opens tomorrow. So be ready. Banks have been moving in a pretty crazy way the past few days, is that we've seen multiple reports like Goldman this morning. Wednesday, we have ASML, United Airlines, Discover. Thursday's the big day, in my opinion. Taiwan Semiconductors, Netflix. Those two are going to be my two big ones of the week. And of course, Friday, we have American Express. But man, Mike, it's going to be a big week, especially Thursday with the chip stock TSMC, or just TSM, Taiwan Semiconductors, going to be a big report there.
All right, sounds good. And then, of course, we do have an economic schedule as well, but it is not very eventful this week. Jerome Powell did speak today, but he basically said the same thing he's been saying over the past couple of months. So there's no new updates there. So let's jump right into the good stuff for today, which are some setups and predictions. A stock I'm watching very closely right now is SMH, and this is an ETF that follows chip-related stocks. It did close in the red slightly today, and the price action was, I would say, it was okay today. It wasn't anything all that, but we have been seeing a good amount of profit taking out of some of the big chip stocks over like the past couple of trading days, and it certainly represents a shift that we haven't seen in a while. So either way, I'm going to continue to look at SMH in a bearish way over these next couple trading days. It would be great to see it get back below that $270 area, and then what's even most important of all is for the stock to put constant pressure on its lows. The more pressure it puts on its lows, and the more it falls, the stronger and better the setup reflexively becomes. So either way, SMH is on my radar to the downside.
Yeah, and as we know, what makes SMH go down? Those big chip stocks. So I'll definitely be watching those for the next couple days, that's for sure, especially with how NVIDIA moved today. It's getting close to that support. If it gives out, could be pretty scary in the short term. With my first play, I'm actually looking at a chip stock to the upside, though, and that is Qualcomm, which had a pretty significant day. Whenever you compare it to the other chip stocks, it's up 2.84%. I'm going to keep looking for this one to blast off in the short term. I'm watching 209.50 and 210 as solid resistance. If we see more bullish price action tomorrow, I'll keep watching this one for another breakout, but I really like the way it closed. It even closed high whenever the market had a pretty bad close.
All right, sounds good. Another stock that I'm watching pretty closely is XOM, which is ExxonMobil. We did see a handful of stocks in the energy industry do pretty well today, which was good. ExxonMobil popped up by just under 2%, and it has been uptrending pretty nicely, not only over like the past couple of weeks, but even since the beginning of 2024, it has had a nice overall move higher. I know it has been pulling back a little bit from its peak in the middle of April, but the uptrend is still overall intact. So either way, XOM has been showing more and more momentum lately. It has a little bit of resistance right around this like 117 area right now, but I think the price action is just getting better and better. So XOM will continue to be on my upside radar going forward, not only for tomorrow, but even for these next couple weeks.
Yeah, it's awesome to see the oil stocks coming back a bit here. I know that they definitely took a pretty big dip there, but lately over the past couple of days, they've been coming back very well. I'll keep watching them up. And with my next stock, I'm looking at Tesla, and I actually have to give a huge shout out to Bookmap today on Tesla. I don't think I would have actually found the top today as good as I did on Tesla without the Bookmap. And looking at the Bookmap, at the top of your screen, you can kind of see a big red line right at that 265 mark. That was showing a ton of shares that were stacked there. More specifically, like something like 188 to like 200,000 shares. Throughout the day, you could see like 160 or 265 ended up being pretty much the high of day on Tesla. Once it hit there, we saw a pretty good move down, and the sellers even like re-entered right there. So I thought that was very interesting, and it really helped identify that high of day watching that 265 mark all day. So shout out the Bookmap. Pretty much called the top today. It was the most significant level on the map pretty much, and we saw a pretty significant drop off of that as well. There ended up being a pretty good opportunity to the downside, but overall, shout out the Bookmap. That was awesome today.
You know it, and we've been using Bookmap in these videos for quite some time now. Bookmap is one of the best platforms out there for seeing where buyers and sellers are actually at in the market. As you said, Tom, you were able to see exactly where that selling pressure was going to come in at ahead of time, because Bookmap uses, order flow and just real orders out in the market, which not many platforms can even offer. So if you guys want to give it a shot, check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. You will save with the StockedUp link. A special offers icon will appear, and that'll open up savings that you won't find anywhere else. So definitely check it out. It'll be that first link in the description and the comments down below. But Tom, let's get right into today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have ARM to the downside.
Yeah, ARM had a pretty bad move here today. If it breaks under 177, then keep watching it down.
All right, with the next one, we have Coinbase to the upside.
Yeah, how could you not have Coinbase, right? Up 11% with all the good Bitcoin movement. If it breaks 248, watch it up and just be careful of the 250 resistance.
All right, and then with the last one, we have Amazon for both directions.
Yeah, Amazon ended up pretty red today as well. It broke under support. If it falls under 191, then watch Amazon to the downside. If it ends up recovering back above 194, then watch it back up.
Sounds good. So we have the upside level for a potential move higher. We have the downside level for a potential move lower. That's with Amazon. Don't forget about the upside level with Coinbase, and then the downside level with ARM. Either way, these three stocks are on watch for potential day trades tomorrow if and only if they break through the levels Tom listed. We want to see strong, consistent price action and then continuations in the levels listed. If they don't break the levels, then do not force the setup. But Tom, we are all clear for today's big money $609,000 trade, and we are looking at ticker symbol XLE. So I think I messed up the order there, but looking at XLE, basically the big money put $609,000 into a call trade where they are bullish on XLE going forward. More specifically, they bought the 94 strike call options and shorted the 98 strike call options, both of which expiring on August 2nd of 2024. For those of you who don't know, this is a call debit spread. It might sound complex and complicated because there are two options here, but the main thing you need to know is that the big money is expecting XLE to go up. The higher it goes up, the better, and they're putting a little bit over $600,000 into this trade. If you don't know how option spreads work, the 94 strike call options will mimic this trade in a very similar way. But looking at XLE right now, this ETF follows the energy industry and energy-related stocks. It had a pretty nice move to the upside today. The short-term price action has been really good, and I really like the setup overall, but I cannot stress this enough. This big money trade has a short-term expiration, so that means it's more riskier than other big money trades, because the move has to happen quicker, and on top of that, these options are a little bit far out of the money at the 94 strike. So overall, there's a good risk reward, but understand that this one is a riskier trade, so keep that in mind.
It really is, and we normally don't have ones that are like this short on the time frame. I do like going with calls, Mike. I think I would maybe go closer to the money than like the 94 strike personally. If I were to just get something other than the spread, maybe go with like 90, 92, something like that. But nonetheless, I do like the play a lot. I like the channel XLE is actually starting to break out of, and the way it's starting to see the inflows here in the short term looks good. And we talked about ZOM earlier and a couple other of the energy stocks. So yeah, just keep watching these in the short term. It's one of my favorite big money plays as of late. And something I really like about energy is that it's not really all that correlated to the SPY, right? It has a mind of its own for the most part, and we're in a seasonally good good time at least for like oil companies and just oil in general. So I definitely am going to be watching this one very closely to the upside, Mike. It's around 609,000 in this spread, but like I said, I'd probably go with like the 90 or 92 strikes.
All right, well, sounds good, and keep a close eye on this one going forward. But Tom, looking at the market right now, it is a great time to be a trader for multiple reasons, and it's only getting more and more exciting as the year goes on, again, because we have this crucial election coming up. So if you guys think the market is crazy and volatile now, you don't know what's coming. We have a lot going on this year, and earnings season is just starting back up again. So I am super excited, and I know we say this a lot, but it's just so important, so we're going to say it again. Above all else, focus on your trading habits. It is so easy for anyone to get lucky and make money on some random bad quality trade, but what ultimately means the most over the long term are the little things that you do on a day-by-day basis, right? It's the concept of having a plan before you enter a trade, and then even more importantly, sticking to your plan. So like when you have a stop loss, you have to stick to it. Make sure you follow the money and make sure you're just trading in like a disciplined, long-term, sustainable way, because again, that's what means the most. And if you guys are new here, consider obliterating that subscribe button to get our videos recommended to you more often. It takes us a long time to do these videos each night, and we cover everything you need to know about the market, from recent news, important things to be aware of going forward, charts you won't find anywhere else, big money trades, setups, and everything you could possibly need. So when you subscribe, you will see our videos recommended to you more often. And Tom, before we close out, let's give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Liz, in the StockedUp Discord. She crushed it today with Tesla and posted a very awesome screenshot there. So huge shout out to Liz, and keep up all of the great work going forward. Besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's have a great week in the market.